Is Senator Lazarus.
Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. I'd like to inform the Chamber and the people of Australia that I am deeply concerned about the bill and consequently do not support it in its current form. I can not and will not support any legislation that erodes the rights of Queensland workers or more broadly Australian workers. However, I am also aware of the importance of the business sector in Australia and its role in providing the engine room for our economy. In order to achieve economic growth and restore businesses and consumer confidence, we need to support businesses to grow and prosper. A growing business sector equals jobs growth. Jobs growth, however, will not be achieved by removing the rights of workers. It will be achieved by stimulating the economy through growth measures and investing in our people, thereby enabling them to succeed. Restricting our people's access to higher education by deregulating the higher education sector will not achieve this either. This is another reason why I do not support the deregulation of higher education. It will only result in a substantial increase in the cost of university degrees, which will discourage Australians from seeking to better themselves through education. And I am hoping under Turnbull's new leadership that the deregulation bill will never see the light of day again, any way, shape or form. In working through the Fair Work Bill, it comprises of many components. While most of the components, I feel, will have a negative impact on the rights of workers, some components of the bill are actually good and deserve support. Accordingly, I am co-sponsoring a raft of amendments to this bill which will knock out the negative elements and retain the good elements. And I should mention that there are probably a range of other positive measures which could have been included in the bill. However, as the bill was developed under the Abbott government, and as per usual, the crossbench and indeed many sectors of the community affected by this bill were never consulted in the early stages of the formation of the bill, we are now burning the midnight oil to try and fix a bad bill which should never have been or should have never made its way to the Senate in its current form. My hope is under the new Turnbull government's leadership that things will change significantly moving forward in relation to the bill. Specifically, I am supporting the removal of a range of sections or parts to cleanse the bill of its nasty components. And these include, Mr Acting Deputy President, Part 2 of the bill, which relates to the payment of accrued annual leave on termination. It is my view that workers should be paid accrued annual leave on termination at the appropriate rate. Part 3, which relates to the accrual of annual leave while receiving workers' compensation benefits. I believe employers on workers' compensation are absent from the workplace through no fault of their own and should not be disadvantaged or penalised by losing accrued leave as a result. Part 4, which relates to individual flexibility arrangements. I am of the view that this section has the potential to see vulnerable and disadvantaged workers' rights exploited by employees accordingly, and it has to go. Part 6, which relates to the transfer of employee entitlements across related businesses. I believe this will disadvantage employees who voluntarily move across businesses within an organisation's group of brands. And Part 8, which relates to right of entry by unions into workplaces, I am deeply concerned this will restrict and hamper unions from undertaking their important work of representing the rights and needs of workers in the workplace. Part 9, which relates to Fair Work hearings and conferences. I believe this will remove the requirement for Fair Work to hear the merit of unfair dismissal applications and decide whether to dismiss or hear the cases. Unfair dismissals are often very murky and require the consideration of Fair Work to fully understand the circumstances around the dismissal. Therefore, it is imperative that this part is removed to ensure hearing and conferencing arrangements are retained to protect employees. In addition, I am also co-sponsoring an amendment to Part 5, which seeks to deal with the way in which greenfields agreements are negotiated. The amendment will extend the negotiating phase of a greenfield agreement from the current proposal of 3 months to 6 months. This will provide the platform to enable both the employer and the union to come together in the hope that they can reach an agreement to commence a new project. I understand there are concerns on both sides regarding the way in which parties may approach the negotiating process. However, the amendment does seek to extend the good faith bargaining framework. In effect, the amendment will allow both parties more time to reach an agreement and where the process fails, the ability for Fair Work to become involved and make a determination. I am pleased the crossbench has come together to collectively work through this bill. We as a group are acting in the best interests of our states and our constituents, and I believe the people of Australia will be extremely proud of the results we are achieving in this chamber for workers and, more broadly, all Australians across this country. Before I close, I would like to note the good work of Senator Day in putting forward an amendment to the Fair Work Bill to increase flexibility around the negotiations of greenfield agreements. While I understand the reasons for Senator Day's amendment, I am concerned such increased flexibility could result in the exploitation of workers, because technically workers cannot vote on workplace agreements because they are not yet employed. So for that reason and various other reasons, I have let Senator Day know that I cannot support this amendment. I would also like to inform the chamber that I will be supporting the opposition's amendment, which removes Part 7 of the bill relating to protected action ballot orders. My reason for supporting this amendment is that the part does not obligate employers to negotiate before any protected action takes place. There may be scope to rework this part in the future to ensure it meets the needs of employees and employers. However, considerable consultation is required by both sides in order to achieve this. In summary, I believe the crossbench has achieved a delicate balance between the needs of the business community and the economy, and the protection and retention of workers' rights across Australia.
Thank you,